So just imagine there's me browsing the analytics of the channel, happily wondering when I'm going to hit the next subscriber mark and whether or not I should do some kind of competition. And then I think to myself, maybe I should give some prizes out for this subscriber milestone competition. And then, oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. As we close in on 5,000 subscribers, I suddenly realised of all the absurd things I've not managed to do, it had completely slipped my mind to actually get the 500 subscriber competition actually completed. Did a video about it, announced the winners, and then promptly forgot to do half the stuff I'd actually promised to do, which I deeply, deeply apologise for. I can only plead the fact that I'm incredibly busy and my memory is sometimes not what it should be. Anyway, let's get on with one of the winners' videos. Now, for those of you who may need a bit of refresher, there should be a link appearing somewhere on the screen taking you back to the 500 subscriber announcement, winners announcement video. And we today will be looking at the Wotan class. Quick disclaimer, obviously, as with all of the subscriber competition ships, they are completely made up, so any and all history given for them is, by definition, alternate history. So, yeah, there you go. I make no excuses for the background. This is what the winners wrote. It's what they wanted. And, well, I think it's pretty decent, so let's see how it goes. So the premise behind the Wotan class is that Imperial Germany did not resume unrestricted submarine warfare in early 1917, as the infamous Zimmermann telegram was not sent. Presumably the person who was going to send it was quietly knocked on the head and shipped off to the Western Front. Without American intervention, the First World War drags on until 1919, and eventually both sides come to the negotiating table. Ceasefire is signed, and everyone's back at peace. As still a relatively major naval power, Germany takes part in the 1920 Washington Naval Treaty. During the latter half of the 1920s, the Kaiserliche Marine is planning to retire some of its obsolete earlier dreadnoughts and replace them with a class consisting of 4 newer ships. While initially the plans for the new class centre on a light refresh of the existing Bayern class design, intelligence on the Royal Navy's Nelson class currently under construction prompt a change to a more radical design able to meet these prospective opponents on equal terms. The designs were drawn up between 1923 and 1925, with the first 2 ships, Wotan and Donner, being laid down in 1925. 2 more ships, Zeus and Froh, followed in 1926. The lead ship, Wotan, was launched in 1928 and commissioned in 1929, just as 2 older ships are broken up for scrap, having served in the Kaiserliche Marine for nearly 20 years. Donner follows in early 1930, with Zeus and Froh being commissioned in 1931. The ships are just over 200 metres long, 33 metres wide, and have a draft of 9.5 metres under full load, coming in just about on the 35,000-ton weight limit necessary under the Washington Naval Treaty. They have a so-called Atlantic bow to cope with the rougher seas of the North Atlantic, and are relatively decent seaboats. They use oil-fired turbines, generating a fairly large amount of power to drive them through the water at 26 knots, with a cruising range of 12,000 nautical miles at a cruising speed of 12 knots. Initially, the class was designed to be armed with the same guns as the Bayern in the same layout of 4 twin turrets, but this was quickly discarded in favour of using 16-inch guns instead. As the design progressed, it became clear that this could not be combined with a satisfactory degree of protection and remain under the displacement limits, and numerous alternatives were proposed before one using 3 triple 16-inch guns was decided upon. Whilst the Kaiserliche Marine had been reluctant to use triple gun turrets during World War I due to concerns over reliability, rate of fire, and lack of redundancy if you lose one turret, the technology has now matured so that this is no longer believed to be a problem. The main guns are based off the 15-inch guns used on the Bayern class, with their caliber increased to 48 calibers, and ammunition hoists and gun rammers enhanced to increase the rate of fire. New gun mountings allow for an elevation to 25 degrees, and whilst they fire smaller and lighter shells than the Nelson class, the German Navy believes that a slightly superior rate of fire should give them an edge. Abandoning casemate mounts for the secondary armament, the Wotan class carries 12 6-inch guns in 4 triple turrets. Usefully, these are exactly the same turrets used on the contemporary Königsberg class of light cruiser, so there's a great deal of interchangeability and easy maintenance. The initial anti-aircraft armament consisted of 6 dual-purpose 88mm guns, but in the 1930s, with the need for more anti-aircraft defence becoming apparent, these were replaced by 6 double 105mm AA guns, also dual-purpose, with 10 quad-mounted Bofors guns of the 40mm calibre on the sides of the superstructure, turret roofs, and on the stern. The armour was also something of a new layout for the German Navy, adopting the all-or-nothing scheme for the belt, but retaining the internal turtleback deck instead of the top-mounted deck that most other nations were adopting. This was designed around an expectation that Germany would continue to fight in enclosed waters such as the North Sea, and therefore battles would likely to take place over medium to short ranges. As the 1930s drew to a close, and with conflict looking increasingly likely in the future, the Wotan class continue to lead the Kaiserliche Marine into this uncertain future, even though their replacements are currently building on the stocks. How they will perform in battle remains to be seen, but the Kaiserliche Marine is fairly sure that they will stand up well in the environment that they were designed for.
That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you have a comment or suggestion for a ship to review, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to tag your question with Q&A if you want to leave a question for the dry dock.